So if you want to be an actor, what are you doing about it? Hi everyone, Adam Jacobs, CEO and Managing Director of Bubblegum Casting and Hunter Talent here. So I've had a little bit of a break, but people have kept asking questions, so I'm here to answer more of those questions, and I really do like doing this, so I'll start to do more of them as time goes on. So one of the questions I get and the team gets all the time, and we get on socials, whether we represent you or not, is about how to improve your chances of booking work. And I reckon I could keep going on about this and almost say the same things over and over and over again, because the first piece I'm going to say is to actually do, the first piece of advice I'm going to provide to this is actually to listen to the advice you're given. So believe it or not, that the first piece of advice is to listen to the advice. So we get asked all the time on how you can improve your chances, and we will tell people things, and then, we'll follow up with them a month later or 2 months later or 3 months later, sometimes longer, and they've done none of those things. And then they want to know why they're not booking work. Or in the case of BC, they want to know why their child's not booking work. So the first thing is to follow the good advice that you're given by whoever you are represented by, whether it's us or presumably, given the size of our following and database, it's someone else. Take their advice and follow through on that. The second thing is that you shouldn't be discouraged. So now we'll break down into more actual tactics on things that you can do to improve your chances. But the second sort of step after taking advice is to not be discouraged and to keep going. So I heard a quote recently, which is that you only fail when you stop. And that's so true. So obviously, if you just stop doing it or stop going to auditions because you get disillusioned, well, that's the point where you have failed. If you continue to try, you haven't failed yet. And then really, and that's basically the sort of the second message that I kind of want to convey. Now, the next piece is, let's get a little bit more tactical though. So the first thing you need to do is maintain your headshots. So you obviously need to have up-to-date headshots. If you provide photos that are super old or don't look like you, then when the casting director or the production company looks at them and wants to sort of see you, they're basically going to be like, well, you don't look like that anymore. That's irrelevant. Why did you send these? And that's the case for grown-ups. And that's the case for kids as well at Bubblegum Casting. Quite literally, there will be people who are like at Hunter who are sitting on headshots that are like 5 or 6 years old, and they don't even look like that. And you've got to tell them, you need new ones. The same applies to kids as well. Obviously, they need headshots more often, and you just have to have them because you need to present that to the client so that they know what the child looks like. The second thing that's super important is to have a reel of things that you've done. If you don't have a reel, that's fine. You don't have to go and produce one of these expensive reels. There's real companies that do this. I wouldn't worry about that. But just even having a talking to camera video like this is going to make a massive difference in terms of what's on your profile and what's not when they're looking at you for a job. It's actually surprising to me how difficult this actually is for us to get people to do this. The third thing I recommend in terms of improving your chances, and so in terms of building your reel as well, I would actually recommend that you do student films and lower paid gigs. There's plenty of ways to do that. I highly recommend checking out the Facebook groups, and Star Now, which is a big sort of marketplace for sort of lower tiered jobs and lower ticketed jobs, is a really, really great resource for you to go on, both for your child and for you if you are at Hunter. Now, obviously, if it is for your child, there's a lot of rules and regulations and protections in place for the kids. So you've got to make sure that you are following all the protocols around that. So make sure that you do all that. You need to maintain your portals. So that's another thing that often gets overlooked. So you might start have new skills or a bunch of things that you're actually really good at that are relevant to a job, and it's not on your portals or your agent doesn't know about it. And it's impossible for us to know absolutely everything about you, right? So even though we try to know as much about our talent as possible. Basically, we can't know everything about you. So it's up to you to inform us about all those things. So if you know how to ride a horse or know how to ride a bike. We had a brief recently where we were looking for kids who could skateboard, and literally, I think 3 children had that on the BC brief. But then we had to do a call out internally, which is massive amount of work, and found out it was about 50 of our kids that could ride a skateboard. So these are the things that we need to know about so that we can actually factor in those types of things and then present them to the clients. If we're spending all of our time figuring out who has that skill, then we're not actually able to do like negotiate the rates or do other things that actually are a bit more important. So we're just trying to take it as it is because we spent so much time actually figuring out who's got that skill. The next thing that I really recommend, and this might be probably the most important, is to look at your career as not just because you have an agent, then it's all done, but really doing training and development in order to be really, really good and job ready. So if you want to be an actor, what are you doing about it? Is your child in after school classes? Are they participating in drama in school? An agent isn't a training and development company. We include that in terms of representation for our kids, but it's not as comprehensive as they would if they were going to an after school type program. If it's something they really, really want, then they should be doing that. The same applies for Hunter. I'm constantly surprised by people who apply to the agency and they're not actually taking an active interest in their own careers, and they're not doing research and doing training and development. Now, the people who are and have done lots of training development and who are regularly doing that, they do the best, they get the most work. And, and even, major famous people and major actors and things of that nature, they still do acting classes. I just read an Arnold Schwarzenegger book the other day where he was doing acting classes after he was already getting featured roles. So it's still part of the process to be doing that stuff. But, and it also makes you better at actually getting the job and being good on the job. So you're going to book more work from it. So I really recommend that you do take part in that kind of that training and development. And if you're with BC, you should specifically do those things as well. We have those on offer. We don't do them for Hunter because our expectation is really for the grown-ups that they go out and facilitate themselves. But in general terms, maybe your agent, whether it's us or someone else, can recommend where you should go and do some training to improve your chances. So that's just a few tips on how you can dramatically improve your chances of booking work in the industry. I'm going to be sharing a lot more of them. Honestly, I'll probably say these same ones again and again because people sort of ignore us or they ask the same questions. Sometimes people will, sort of just be like, yep, cool, but where do I go? So if you ever have a question about where you could potentially do after school training or whether you could do acting and you're in Australia, we're happy to provide you with lists of recommendations on places that we recommend. Depending on what you're looking for and what your budgets are. But there's lots of cool things that you can do to be improving your skills, which will improve your job readiness and your ability to book work. So that's it for me on this video. I hope you learned something. I hope you had a great day. Thank you so much. As I mentioned, I'll be doing a lot more of these in the coming weeks. And I really do appreciate you watching. Thanks very much. Bye.